Monetization. It is the thing that holds all video games together. Every game needs a monetization. But not every monetization needs a game. We learned about that one recently. And when it comes to League of Legends, let's just say they are gathering experience with funding their projects. So much so that over the last few months, Riot got under fire from their own player base. And I'm not just talking about the $200 skins in League. I'm also talking about the more expensive gacha mechanics in TFT. Are these methods great at successfully funding the future of these free-to-play games? Yes, absolutely. Do these methods of monetization feel as a satisfying way to support the game? Yes, absolutely. Wait, no, I meant no. And so, after 2 months of going back and forth, and after 2 separate updates for the $200 Jin skin alone, Riot released one more big update. An update that would serve as their final note for 2023. And somewhat hilariously, it is a note about monetization. So without further ado, let's talk about what we've learned here. As always, we got Brightmoon and Meddler coming back to tell us about all the new things happening. Now, since this is their final dev video of 2023, they begin by talking about the things that were worth celebrating this year, such as the fact that we got Arena, a very successful game mode. When it comes to music, we got Heartsteel and New Jeans, and we even got the most watched worlds in the history of League of Legends. So despite how this year started, things are going pretty well. So after that, this update dives into today's topics, starting with earnable rewards. At this point, some of you may know that Split 2 will end on January the 9th, with Season 2024 starting on January the 10th, which yet again means that there will no longer be a gap of time where nothing's really happening. Now, when it comes to the honor system, of course, we are getting new rewards. The honor system itself stays the same, which means that you just play and earn it by playing as long as you're not flaming anyone. And if you reached honor level 5, you will get a new skin for Akshan, which still carries a similar skin theme to what we got before. And as of right now, the plan is for the skin to come out during 14.2, which should be in late January. When it comes to the ranked rewards, however, the Split 2 rewards will take a little bit longer to deliver. For context, when they first announced Split 2, they weren't really planning on giving us a skin for it. So of course it wouldn't be ready by January. However, they are aiming for 14.4, which should be in February, so the wait won't be that long. And of course, when it comes to the skin itself, the reward for Split 2 will be Tryndamere. I'm happy Riot is picking the more played or more memorable champions from that season. People will surely happily remember that one too. Now, outside of earnable cosmetics, 14.4 also brings in an interesting update. And that's an update to system requirements, which means that League of Legends will no longer be supported on Windows 7, 8 or 8.1. If you still have one of these operating systems, I'm scared for you. I mean, this update has a really awesome benefit for League. It means that since you don't have to support outdated operating systems, you can focus your optimizations on the supported systems and in a way, make the game more stable. So it will get even better at running on all the potatoes. Just not the potatoes that started to sprout. Also, when we talk about optimizations, I am purely talking about the game, not the client. I still don't know what's happening with the client. But after this, the topic in this update shifts to monetization. Originally, you may remember that Riot promised us an update on monetization when they revealed the new True Damage Echo for $200. And to kick off that conversation, the dev video hopped into just a capybara and pew-pew lasers. Here they mentioned that they recognize that monetization is not often talked about because people simply like talking about gameplay more. After all, those are the more exciting updates. But especially with some of the latest updates and latest products, it would be better to pick up that conversation again. And so, the main point here is going to be transparency. The first thing they do is that they assure us that the main goal of all development is still better gameplay. that is still the main focus, but there is a lot that is revolving around it. From the massive esports scene, to the music, to the passionate creators. Look, they said it, not me. And to the community that loves their champions from Runeterra. And all of this is possible with the investment from the players. This is something that people should not forget about. The money people are putting in is actually giving us results. It's just that maybe those results are not necessarily inside League of Legends itself. Now, at the same time, they still want to stay true to their core monetization value. You can be the best League of Legends player in the world without spending a dime. So once again, we got a confirmation that yes, League's monetization is purely staying around optional cosmetics. And it will continue to do so. Now, connected to this, they also happily embrace the fact that the majority of players will simply never spend anything in League of Legends. This is something a lot of people may not realize. Yes, the majority of League's players are free-to-play players. And it is in Riot's interest to keep these players in. So any sort of a pay-to-win mechanic would single-handedly destroy everything. And here they even mentioned, for a competitive game that sells cosmetics, it should stay like this. And yes, I think everyone can agree with it. Now after this, we get a bit of a thank you to all the players who spent their money on League of Legends. And they note that they hope that people are getting something worth back for their money, no matter how much they spend. Though here they also mention that what you get out of League of Legends should be important to you, implying that all the value of everything is subjective. Of course, we do have different players who are focusing on different things around League of Legends, and Riot knows about it, which is why they are trying to make stuff for everyone. And here we get some examples. There are champion ranked rewards and masteries, which are all about rewarding your skill and dedication. And since you are dedicating your time, what you get through these systems should feel satisfying. Which is where we get a really cool quote. Some things must be earned and cannot be bought. But the reverse of this should also be true. Some things must be bought and cannot be earned. This is honestly a really good way to put this. Some people may not like to hear this. But in order to make the spenders satisfied with their purchase, their dollar spent must feel unique. Which means that the more you decide to pay for optional cosmetics, the harder it should be for a free-to-play player to get them. And that's all the way to the point where some cosmetics simply become exclusive to the spenders. Now after this, we finally get a little bit deeper into the topic around the expensive skins. Simply put, Riot is making a variety of things for different players with different interests. And they think it is natural that not every player will be able to get everything, be it through buying or earning. Now, to be honest, I don't necessarily agree with this. Yes, this is how world works. In the real world, which most people are not fans of, yes, there are things which you simply can't get. But you know what video games are often about? It's about escaping reality. Now I know what they mean through all of this, but it's not helping people escape reality. I don't know, in a video game, maybe everyone should be able to get everything eventually. That's kind of the point of video games. Anyway, they got a whole separate post about this one, which we will dive into later. So, at the end here, they want to reassure us that this is all part of a conversation, and they are still changing and tuning all the cosmetics they make. After which the video goes into its final part. The part where they confirmed that there will be more of these videos happening in 2024. But unfortunately, we got the sad news that Bright Moon is stepping down from his role as the executive producer. Which, to be honest, kinda sucks, because Bright Moon was awesome. I think everyone could agree on that one. Bright Moon and Meddler carried a lot of the conversations during some of the darker times around League. And they were very quick to defend their employees and teammates from the crazy League of Legends fans. And when explaining decisions, they always argued with reason. So you know what? This one is kinda sad. Though he did say that he will appear at the season start, and maybe for a little bit more before they find a new leader to be the executive producer. And he did point out that he will stay at Riot. And he will be doing things before it becomes time for him to reappear. He's totally gonna work on the Riot MMO, right? I believe in him. But that's where the video ends. But that's not where the news ends, because as I mentioned, there is also the whole separate post. Now here, the post repeats a lot of what was mentioned in the video. It talks about how they care about making a great game first, how they are focusing on the gameplay above all else, and how the player investments help them create more stuff outside of League of Legends too, like esports, TV shows, music, and so on. And yes, they have no plans to ever introduce any kind of pay to win. Though they do mention that any kind of power that can be bought, for example buying champions, can also be unlocked for free through just playing the game. Now this is true, but it can also be spun against them, because there are a lot of other games that do technically have everything earnable through time. So yeah, just be careful with that one. And yes, they again talk about how you can be the best player in the world without spending anything. After which they continue, we also still hold firm line against selling power through cosmetics. I mean, this should be obvious. A skin won't have more base stats over the classic champion. And they did mention they are aware of the times they accidentally gave some power to skins. For example, Storm Dragon Lee Sin got to confuse the enemy players. And yes, there was a time during which Pulsefire Ezreal technically had longer queues over all the other skins, but that was a bug. Now after this, they dive into how they want the players to feel after making a purchase. If you buy something in League, you should feel good about what you got for your money, even when you look back months later. Well, I'm sure a lot of players bought a skin or two, which they regretted later. After this, they mentioned that they are taking into consideration the higher subjective prices as well as the time getting stuff. In other words, they want to make sure that no matter what you are logging in for, it is worth it. And they approach loot with similar principles. Every orb or chest you buy should have good value. And after you max out a track, what you get out of it should always have more value than what you paid for it. Though here you need to remember that all the prices are still made up. All the value is highly subjective and it is highly individual. It is all in your head. If they wanted to make everything cost $1, they could do it. They set the prices themselves. So yes, it is all subjective, kinda like what Riot mentioned earlier. After which there is a really interesting quote when it comes to baiting people into spending, which is kinda like what happened with the Jhin skin. We'll also continue to put safeguards in place to protect people who want to spend their money on League. We have strong protection against accidental purchases because we don't want to trick you into buying something without realizing it. After which they also mentioned that they have a system for refunds for things you don't use. There is also a daily purchase limit so you don't gamble everything at once. However, I am pretty sure that after you buy the Gamba and you get baited, there are no refunds for those. Which is kinda by design. And as they mentioned in the dev video, they are trying to make things for everyone. And in this post, they go a lot deeper into what kind of things they are actually making. So first, there are things for just playing the game. This would be your blue essence, your orange essence, your skin shards, emotes, maybe an occasional ward, as well as icons and mythic essence. That's not counting the level up rewards and events. Even though events are often connected to passes, which are not free. And which are also something that people are getting more and more away from. Then we have all the things for the competitive players. I say all the skins, but I mostly just mean ranked skins at the end of splits and seasons. Then we also have things under, and I quote, veterancy or I was here when category. And this one might actually be backfiring a little bit. Because yes, here they talk about FOMO in a way. And specifically, they bring up Black Alistar. They talk about how what makes him cool is that you can't just go into the store and buy him anymore. Having Black Alistar simply means that you were with League from the very beginning. Alright, Riot, if this one holds so much value to you now, I want my unique championship ribbon back. And no, that crown doesn't make me feel unique on a champion that's just zipping all over the place. How am I supposed to even see it? So yes, they talk about how amazing it is that Black Alistar is so unique, after which they removed everything else. Why? I am so confused now. After which they bring up things for champion mains. That's right, they are taking champion mains into consideration, with mastery still being the main thing here. So it's not actually that much. And lastly, here comes the most important one. It is something they gave a name now. Luxury goods, which is followed with a brilliant quote. Yes, we know we just coined a new meme, don't take credit. So, here we go. Here they mention that they still intend on making most items lower price. Which is where I would like to add, I like how they use the word lower. Because on average a skin is about $12. You see, in the past it used to be $6. I remember those days. But then they talk about a very interesting thing. The original prestige skins were very difficult to get. Specifically, you may remember how insane the grind for prestige KDA Kai'Sa and Akali was. In comparison, the modern prestige skins are a lot more common because they are easier to get. Which is where Riot mentions that this is because they decided to do this. Yeah, Riot decided to make these more common. It was not all the backlash, it was not the angry mobs. Nah, Riot just wanted to give us more prestige skins. And while this was their intention, apparently it created a gap for all the players who wanted to have luxury goods in League of Legends. Ooh, we all wanna have luxury goods in video games, right? That's what video games are about. Luxury. And specifically they mentioned that these are the players for whom they created the new Jhin and Echo skins. Although, in this post, Riot also acknowledges that there is no way a $200 skin can have 10 times the value of a normal $20 skin. Normal. They would essentially have to give it 10 times the legendary features, which would destroy all integrity League of Legends has with its skins, as well as visual clarity. With that said, they still want to have the bar high, and they now know that Jhin fell short. Using their words, they shot themselves in the foot by releasing an unimpressive skin, thinking it would upset less people because they wouldn't wanna get it. I like how they said they wanna upset less people. They knew it is gonna upset people. And yes, this is exactly what we talked about in the previous videos. Their goal was clear with how bad the new skin was. However, it still disappointed people. Now at the end of this post, they mentioned that they still wanna try and give people luxury goods. As part of this, they will try to raise the bar for them, and they will also try to release the right amount of them per year. The goal is still very much to have these up as optional cosmetics in the world of cosmetics, which are already optional in League of Legends. And with that, the post kinda ends. So, did we learn anything new out of this? Well, not really. It's all the things that we have heard from the other updates so far. Though this update felt a lot more official. And yes, they once again confirmed that these skins are not going anywhere. Which also means that people will continue to use these as a flex. That is, if people still count this one as a flex. Though actually, we did learn one new thing. Now, we have a proper name for all the super expensive cosmetics. It is luxury skins. That's on top of legendary, ultimate, mythic, and prestige skins. What's gonna be the next step after luxury skins?